Hello, everyone. Gary Laubach, Mike Joseph behind the mic. We will be back at Fisher Stadium this Saturday at 12:30 when the Lafayette Leopards take on the Fordham Rams. Fordham will come into the game 6-3, 2-2 overall. Fordham with a really tough loss against Georgetown. It may really hinder their ability to perhaps win the Patriot League. But as we look at the standings right now, Holy Cross is sort of in the driver's seat if Lafayette cannot win out. Holy Cross at 4-1. They have Army, who probably will beat them up a bit. And then they have Georgetown, and Georgetown is a good football team, so no guarantee there that they're going to end up with just one loss.
Yeah, it's just muddy waters, if you talk about it. And, and Lafayette put themselves back into the muddy water. They had clean sailing for a while, and then, they lose a football game like this, you're up 17-0. And John Trox will tell you, the mistakes in the middle of the game really hurt them. The fumble coming out of halftime. But I thought in the first half they had more opportunities. They didn't capitalize. They weren't sharp. They got away with some things, obviously, the drop punt early. But you can't turn the football over. John will tell you that, against any team. It doesn't have to be Colgate or anybody. You can't turn it over 3 times. You don't get any takeaways yourself. You don't get any short fields, and you put more and more pressure on yourself to drive the length of the field. And it was a tough situation. I was so proud of them, the way they came back and tied the football game. But having a 1st and goal at the 5-yard line and not getting that football in the end zone is huge. You go up 7-0 in overtime, I think that football game's over.
Yeah, and so we look at Lafayette, of course. They right now are sitting in 2nd place with a 3-1 record. They've got Fordham and Lehigh win out. They're the Patriot League champions. Fordham will be a very tough test for the Lafayette Leopards. But let's look back a little bit more at the Colgate game. We've talked all year about complementary football. This is complimentary blame. The offense didn't play great in the second half. The defense certainly did not play great, and special teams certainly a problem. A fumble on a punt, and also our punting is just putting us in terrible field position for the opponent.
Yeah, and the special teams kind of crept up on us a little bit, obviously there, and it just can't. Those things can't happen. Not when you've been the punter for so many years for Lafayette, and we've seen it. They've really struggled to get the ball out and change field position. We don't have the kicking game to change field position, so we have to rely on our defense. But, and you also relied on freshman running backs, and Troy's been fantastic. Take nothing away from him. He's been great, but he played 90% of the snaps. We didn't see Ethan Weber, and we didn't see the other backup, Kente Edwards. We didn't really see them enough to take some pressure off of them. And, when you don't have Curtis, you don't have Conyers. We still don't have a big kind of banger in there, the guy that can, we had a 4th and 1 that we didn't come up with as well. And that was an interesting call because the play prior to that, Brian Basha came out of the game, and we ran the ball right into left guard again where we had a replacement. So it was kind of a question mark why they did that. But the mistakes in the middle of the game did Lafayette in. The 17-0 lead, you had the football coming out. You had an opportunity to put that game away. You didn't do it. So you look back on a lot of different things, but I think obviously the turnovers, and Lafayette's dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, they certainly are. For the first time all year, they're dealing with some serious injuries. We already mentioned we're down to what was at the beginning of the year, our 4th-string running back, and really no one else really behind him to come in and take his place, as Najee Adams also out. He's been out for the season. He was our number 3 guy. 5 second-half lead changes in the second half, so I think you've got to give Colgate a lot of credit. Down 17-0, whatever they did in that locker room certainly worked.
Yeah, they answered. They came back, and that's the Marcus Dandacosti team. I mean, they're tough kids. They're not going to give up. And as I mentioned in the post game, Lafayette's got target on their back. Everybody wants a piece of the team that's number 16 in the nation, moving up, looking so great, going to make the playoff. Everybody get you a target on your back. But this was a home game. This is a game at a 17-0 lead at home going into the second half. It's disappointing the way Lafayette did that. They need to regroup, put it in the rearview mirror, but learn from it. Don't forget it. Just remember what the feeling was like, and I think that's what Marco was expressing on the field after the game, is we don't want to feel like this again. We got to go out and take care of business right here at home next week.
And speaking of Marco obviously is a bit banged up. He's got a bad knee, and evidenced by the stats, Marco had 1 tackle in that ball game, and that's not at all Marco Olivas. He usually is up there around 7 or 8 tackles a game. So the injuries hurt us for the first time all year. The positives, Mike, we took a lot of positives out of the Duke loss. Yeah. Can we take positives out of this loss?
Oh, yeah, and I talked to Trox, texted him after the game. I said, you know what, it's disappointing. You hate to lose, but at the same time, there's learning points from this film. You can take this film and you can learn from it. You don't just put it away. You can learn from these situations. You can learn from substitution issues I thought we had. We didn't get a safety in the game. We didn't really know where to line up, so we didn't get the double coverage that we needed over the top of a fade route on 4th down and 5. We need to make sure that we're substituting properly up front and rolling those kids through, because Fordham's going to run no huddle. How do you get those guys in if they don't substitute? You can't substitute as quickly. So these are going to be some issues, but Lafayette's got to learn from this. What did we do wrong? How did we get out of our gaps? How did we give up stuff through the secondary? And then how do we move forward to make sure that we are solid on both sides of the football, and you said complementary, in the special teams? We have to be better, or else it's going to bite us again.
And Fordham comes in. They're basically they got 2 losses by 6 points. They lost 28-24 to Georgetown. They lost 49-47 to Holy Cross. This is a very good football team. You don't have room to learn when you take on them. C.J. Montes has stepped right in for Tim DeMurat, and he has just been spectacular. 24 touchdown passes as he's passed for 2,526 yards. They've lost nothing since he's come in here. They score 34 points a ball game. The big but, however, for them is they give up 25 points a game.
Yeah, they do. They struggle a little bit defensively, although last week I thought against Bucknell they had 5 sacks. They had 7 hurries. They're starting to get after the quarterback with Jaworski and those guys up front, so they're doing a better job. They do give up some points, obviously, on this other side, but they're still pretty good against the run. They're not as good against the pass, so Lafayette may have to open it up a little bit and just kind of take shots down the field. But this is a Fordham defense that can play, and this is a Fordham offense that is really scary. 24 touchdowns, right. 1 interception, and Cody on the outside and MJ Wright, when are they going to graduate? Because they are phenomenal. The difference in the game against Bucknell last week was a 91-yard, one-play drive where Cody caught the ball, went 70 yards or 91 yards for a touchdown. And that really broke the game open. So they're gonna get out there. Lafayette's got to play good defensively, pressure the quarterback, make some mistakes.
Yeah, they actually lost their top 2 receivers from last year, but as Mike mentioned, MJ Wright, Garrett Cody, Mekhi Felton, every one of them has 7 touchdowns. So 21 touchdowns out of those 3 guys, and they can run the ball. They have a 1,000-yard rusher and Julius Lockridge, good-sized kid, 6'2", 210, a junior. He's tough.
Yeah, they can run the football. They've committed a little bit more to the run, and that's the balance that you see. And then look at the balance, like you said, with the wide receivers. You hit the slot machine, 7, 7, and 7. Every one of them's got the football over 41 catches. They convert on 3rd downs. They convert, Gary, on 4th down. That's something that kind of stood out to me. They're 68% completion or moving the chains on 4th down. Lafayette is around 65%. So, who's going to take a shot on 4th down? So their series isn't over on 3rd down. If they have a possibility at midfield, they're going to go for it, and they're really, really good at it. So they're very good in converting. Lafayette's good in converting. It's going to come down to those 3rd and 4th down conversions to stay on the field. Lafayette didn't do that as well this past week.
Yeah, these 2 teams have that NFL mindset right now where you have 4 downs to get a 1st down, not necessarily 3. Defensively, Mike mentioned how good they are. James Conway, 107 tackles already. Marco Preto, 61 tackles. Nahil Perkins, 52 tackles and 3 interceptions. They also have an outstanding kicker. Again, we don't want this one to come down to a field goal. Brandon Peskin is 13 for 15, and he's made about 3 or 4 40-yarders.
Yeah, and he's got some leg in him, and he won a game earlier in the year for him. He doesn't miss that often. Lafayette did block a field goal last week, which was very impressive. But we need to do more on special teams, set up some short fields. If you look at a lot of our offensive drives, they're 65 and 75-yard drives. We need those 20 and 30 and 40-yard drives. So the defense has to take the football away. We need a return. We need something to get us excited about short yards. And then when we're in the red zone, which we're going to talk about in the Inside the Huddle this week, is red zone touchdowns, not field goals. Score in the red zone. We suffered a little bit in the red zone last week. We need to be able to run the football in the red zone and then take shots on 1st down. Best time to throw the football in the red zone is on 1st down. You're going to get somebody trying to stop you. Remember, I talked about 1st down being so important for defenses to create 2nd and longs. But if they're going to take a shot and go man, let's use the weapons we have on the outside.
We'll find out a lot about this football team. This is a must-win for the Lafayette Leopards. Win out. They are the Patriot League champions. And we'll see how that all unfolds on Saturday afternoon at 12:30. Mike and I will be there. You're always invited to join us on ESPN Plus and the Lafayette Sports Network. That's for Behind the Mic for today.